Hi, I'm dating coach Hayley Quinn, and in this video, I'm going to give you one simple technique to build more emotional connection on your first dates and hopefully get more second ones. It can be really frustrating if, you've kind of gone through the process, whether that's meeting her in real life or on the dating apps and the messaging, and you've got to a date and you like her, but yet the energy of the date feels a bit flat. You feel like it's slipping away from you, and then you get the, "Oh, that not surprising to you anymore" message. You seem like a great guy, but. Now, when I'm hearing stories like this as your dating coach, it can be tricky to pinpoint exactly what's not happening at that first date stage, which is stopping you from getting to a second date. In fact, there's lots of factors that come together to make a successful or not that successful date. However, if your feeling of the date is you weren't able to be that present, you were worried about being judged, the conversation felt a bit flat, there didn't feel like there was that much energy between you, you felt like it kind of got, the atmosphere of the date felt stilted at times, or perhaps would have felt stilted if she wasn't bubbly enough to be carrying the conversation. These factors can indicate towards a lack of emotional connection coming out in your dates. Now, by emotional connection, I mean, rather than talking about stuff, like the fact you both like going on holiday to Ibiza or you both like playing tennis, that you actually have an emotional exchange where you feel like you understand something about one another as people and that you perhaps have similar thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Now, this could come from talking about shared experiences in your past or hopes and visions for the future, but it also comes, the really good bit, the really sexy and exciting, energizing bit of the conversation comes from when you're able to bring some emotional intimacy into the present moment of the date. In order to do this, I'm going to give you a really simple technique to be more candid with her and more emotionally vulnerable. To start with, simply by adding the phrase "I feel" more into your dates can make the conversation feel warmer and more personal. So for instance, rather than saying, "I think I'm going to go on holiday to Portugal next year," you could say, "I'm feeling a bit like tired, I guess, of being in the UK, and I feel like I want to go and see something that I've never seen before. I've got like that hunger to do that." You're expressing essentially the same thing, but instead of making it an "I think I want to go," a more factual, thought-orientated statement, if you make it a more emotionally driven decision, it immediately can start to sound more compelling, and it can make you present yourself in a more unique way to her. Now, if this feels scary, wait for the extension exercise, which is actually to really go there with some vulnerability. Now, vulnerability can often be mistaken as, like not cool, not alpha, not leadership enough. But really, actually, first of all, it's an essential ingredient to building a relationship. So that's a pretty good reason to do it. Secondly, demonstrating some vulnerability helps you to be actually truly accepted and liked for who you really are. So that's very awesome for you. And thirdly, if you can express something that's vulnerable or true and you can just say it how it is, then that can also really not come across as unsexy. That can be really sexy. It can be totally courageous. So rather than just going into this mindset of feeling like all your conversation must be about impressing her and telling her the best stuff, try sharing an anecdote that shows some vulnerability. Maybe about how you were a nerd at school and tried to ask a girl out and it just wasn't happening. You could even say that you felt nervous about planning that date. If she's flirty with you, you can say, "Oh, you're making me nervous now." And provided you say that in a confident tone of voice, that's actually going to be sexy as opposed to something negative. Now, if that feels like, "Whoa, Hayley, that's too much, I can't really imagine myself saying that," then a simpler, watered down version of this technique for you to try, which will also slightly increase vulnerability on your dates, is simply to tell her how you're really feeling when you first meet her. And this shouldn't really be about her, it's more how you are feeling that day. So it could be, "I was like, obviously excited to see you, but I've had such a weird, stressful week at work. I was like not 100% in the right headspace." It could be, "I'm so happy on my time. Either traffic was crazy getting over here and I was convinced I was going to be late." If vulnerability is difficult for you, Start with these small shares of vulnerability and see how much faster it builds that emotional connection and resonance on a date. The other cool thing about vulnerability is it sends a signal to her that you're okay to talk to her on this level and that she can share too. And if you can both share with one another, if you can both talk more openly than you would normally do with someone that you've just met, this is a really easy way to signal to her that there's potential here for a romantic relationship. If you'd love to explore more ways that you can improve how you interact with women on dates, your conversation skills, your confidence, you better head over to hayleyquinn.com/attraction. I've got some really great practical techniques to share with you there.